Hi, my name is Emily, and we're here with Dr. Day today, and we're going to discuss rosacea. And I was wondering, Dr. Day, if you might be able to explain what rosacea is.
Rosacea is a common condition that affects over 16 million Americans, and it typically starts in your late 20s up into your 30s, 40s, and older. It's a chronic condition that isn't necessarily progressive, and there are certain things that we typically see with it. It's a very different condition from acne, and it's amazing how so many people, even though it's so common, are simply not even aware that it exists. So what we can see in rosacea is diffuse redness of the face. Not everyone has all of these things, but these are the different things we can see in different combinations in different people. So diffuse redness or patchy redness of the face, a breakout mostly in the cheeks and the chin and even the forehead that looks like pimples and pustules, but typically we don't see blackheads and whiteheads. There can be a fullness of the nose that's called rhinophyma. And it can also affect the eyes. So if we see frequent styes or chalazions, or if you have a gritty feeling in your eyes, that could be a sign of rosacea as well. And there are triggers. So unlike with acne, there's no specific bacteria that's associated with rosacea, and it's treated differently than acne is. And one of the biggest mistakes women make is that they think that it's adult acne, and so they use acne medicines, which can irritate the skin and actually make your rosacea even worse.
Oh, wow. So what should people be looking for when, if they're just experiencing redness? And a lot of people, because I've talked to my readers and even family members, and they don't know what it is. So what should they be looking for to make themselves go into the dermatologist to find out what this is?
What happens is when people start to get this, they're kind of confused because women will think, well, I've just outgrown my acne. What is this going on in my face? And it's kind of offensive, really. It's like it's just wrong that we're kind of growing into wrinkles and still getting pimples. So this is an adult condition, and it is different from acne. And it is important that if you have this, to see your dermatologist, or even if you think you have this, or if you're breaking out, because if you pick at the pimples, that can lead to scarring. The redness can get worse over time if it's not addressed. And once you recognize the triggers, you can control those, and you can have much better control over the flares of rosacea so that you don't end up with the condition getting worse over time. So your dermatologist will offer you prescription medications that can help control the condition really well and minimize your flares, both in how often you have them and how long those flares may last. And also they'll review the different triggers with you. So triggers, the main triggers are alcohol, stress, extremes in temperature, and spicy foods. Now, some people may find that some types of alcohol may affect them more than others, and a glass of wine might do it. But what I tell my patients is that if you know that alcohol is a main trigger for you, and you're out having a nice glass of wine in good company, enjoy that glass of wine. You're not going to necessarily avoid it altogether, but we'll know how to manage it when that happens. But if it's just because it's there, you may want to skip it.
Okay, so would you recommend just doing kind of a trial and error type thing to figure out what your triggers are, try without it and see if it helps, that kind of a thing?
And then stress is a big trigger, and you really can't avoid stress. So, I kind of joke and say, I know, listen, once you start having kids and you have a career and you're trying to get a lot of things done, but I think that a productive life has to include some stress.
Right.
So it's not about not having stress, it's about learning how to manage your stress better, and that can be very productive as well. So there's a good side to this potentially as well, because if you learn how to manage your stress, that can help minimize one major trigger for rosacea. Okay. In terms of spices, it's not all spices for all people. So you may be able to tolerate, the spiciest Mexican foods without a problem, but you may not get to eat Indian food as much, or even like with sushi, it might be the soy sauce or the wasabi, but it's usually the spice or the condiment, not the main dish. That's the problem.
Well, that's good to know.
And then what you can do is try noticing the next day if you are having a little bit more of a flare, and then think back of what you had the day before, because it will show up that quickly. And then you can try to kind of minimize those flares and do see that if that helps.
So it's
you.
Not like same night, but maybe next day.
It could be within a few hours to a day.
Okay, so almost kind of like an allergic reaction, sort of?
Well, you're right in the sense that it's not quite an allergic reaction that we think, but it is inflammatory. So that inflammation that leads to the redness and those bumps in the skin can happen that quickly.
Okay, and I think I heard something about it can even make your face really hot or burny.
Right, you can feel hot, and when you apply products, it may even sting. and that can be a problem as well. So when you're looking for products, if you have rosacea, some people just think that they have sensitive skin, but if their rosacea is properly managed, often in those cases with prescription products, whether it's antibiotics or anti-inflammatories by mouth or topical creams, then their skin really isn't sensitive and they can use lots of different things. But it's important to try to minimize irritants to the skin, high concentrations of glycolic or salicylic acid, or over-exfoliating. So if you apply a moisturizer after, even what's in the moisturizer can be a little bit different for people with rosacea. So your dermatologist will be able to help make a proper diagnosis, offer you prescription products if needed, and help guide you as to what to use and how to use it, and even help guide you as to over-the-counter products. I think it's important to look for products that are fragrance-free and dye-free when possible, because that removes some things that don't add any particular value to your skin. They may make it kind of more fun to use, but if you have rosacea, you might want to minimize exposure to those.
Okay. Are there ever products they recommend that might help with the cooling, that almost will feel good or a relief to them?
There are, and not in a direct way maybe, but even just a cool compress. But it's important to avoid extremes. So if your skin feels really hot and you put an ice pack on, that from very hot to very cold can be problematic. So drinking a cold glass of water is more helpful than putting a cold pack on your face.
That's good to know, because I would think I would want to put something cold on my face if it was hot.
It can be
so that's
cool,
good to know.
But not cold.
Right. Okay, well, my mom actually has had a lot of redness in her cheeks, and it's never been diagnosed as rosacea, and so it's been kind of interesting. And the doctors attacked it in the form of laser, and wondered if that is problematic for it, or if that sometimes is recommended, or...
Well, with the type of rosacea that lends itself to just pure redness, typically lasers are a first-line treatment. The problem with lasers or intense pulse light is that they're typically not covered by insurance, so it can get a little costly. But the reason why it's good to have those treatments done is that by getting you back to a better place, your skin will then start from that healthier level, and so you're not building up on top of red, because then you end up really red with lots of broken blood vessels even at rest. So she'll still flush when she turns red, and over time it'll build up, and she'll need to do maintenance treatments of the laser, but it really does help the skin. So yeah, lasers are really a mainstay of our treatment for rosacea, for certain types of rosacea.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're a huge source of information. I think what I'm gathering, though, is a lot of people just don't understand what it is, and that it's important to just go in. Because I have a lot of friends, actually, they think they're getting adult acne. And whether it's rosacea or not, I don't know, but it sounds like a good form of action would be just go into your dermatologist and get checked out to see if that is what it is.
You're absolutely right. And there's also a great website called rosaceafacts.com. And on that website, there's a quiz that they can take that can help them understand if maybe this might be what they have, and it also help recommend dermatologists for them. So rosaceafacts.com is a really good resource.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Day.
Good talking to you.
You too.